This video is for anyone with a dream. That does not involve working 9 to 5 for someone else. Exactly 1 year ago today, I quit my job as a full-time software engineer to work on my dream full-time. When I started, I only had 6 months of cash in the bank. I had no revenue, no investors, no partner, no business plan, but also no excuses. I was going to figure out how to make my company work. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I went through this past year, what I learned, and what I really wish I knew 1 year ago when I was starting out. So if you're thinking about making this transition, or maybe you've taken the leap already, this video is for you. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on 9 to 5 life. I worked full-time for 8 years, and I'm thankful for every one of those years, because it prepared me for this past year as an entrepreneur. I honed my technical skills and, more importantly, my communication skills working full-time. So I recommend you do that before you try to start your own company, because frankly, my 9 to 5 experience is the only thing that allowed me to survive in finding clients. Let me show you what I mean. This is my website back in 2019. This was basically something I did on the nights and weekends as a hobby. I was able to go into all these little apps on my phone, and I found all these hidden endpoints. And the purpose of this app was to be kind of a personal aggregator of your own personal data. Like, I used it for Tinder. I was able to automate my swiping activities. I used it for Grubhub. I wanted to know all the restaurants by me. So my original vision for this website was to be a personal data aggregator about all your personal data. But this would never work because there's so many laws about saving data, and two, no one would really want to use this. There was no market for this. I was the only person using the software. And then I had specific pages like this for Instagram where I was documenting a lot of these hidden endpoints I found and kind of what the responses looked like. But what I found was that people started contacting me saying that they wanted to use this in their own app. And I said, no. I have the app. I want to be the B2C app. I want to, build an app, put on the App Store, make it like your personal data assistant, something like that. But more and more people kept asking me. They just said, you were able to figure this out. Can we hire you? We want you to help us get all this third-party data. So after enough people started begging me to help them get all this data, I realized that, hey, there's a market for this. And my strategy was, after I quit my job, was to find clients by adding this little banner here and advertising my services as a consultant, saying I would come on and help your team get data. So to get these clients, I started using Google Ads. So here's an old campaign I made in January 2019. You can see I spent almost $500 and I barely got any bites. It was really frustrating spending all this money after I quit my job and not getting any qualified leads. I got plenty of people who would contact me, but I found out later on they weren't entirely serious, or they didn't have the budget, or they weren't the right fit for me, or they wanted me to work full time. So it was kind of depressing. I didn't make any money in January, my first month. And in addition to running ads to promote my consulting service, I also started making a bunch of YouTube videos that did the same thing. And I also was selling a platform as a service that I had. It was really in beta. It really didn't let you do much. And I was trying to see if I could use YouTube to sell subscriptions to that. But these were just horrible. Let's watch my very first video that I made exactly 1 year ago to this date. Hey everyone, I'm Steve from SteveSy, and today we're going to talk about how you can get Airbnb data. You may be saying, yeah, look at... So you can see here, I go over some of the apps I've documented. This is Airbnb. And what I do is I tell everyone to Google my name. That's actually a search hack I use for SEO, that if people start looking for my name, SteveSy, and clicking on my domain, it actually improves all of my website's SEO. It actually worked. And then I go in and I talk about why you can't use the official Airbnb app. And the biggest mistake I make is I tell people that it's my platform at the time was like a prototype and it was a free trial. So if you paid like $5, it would give you this very janky, non-working UI to actually do the data scraping for you. It's also very not cool to show the Airbnb logo. Pretend you didn't see that. That's something I learned I'll get into. But don't show logos. I always thought it was fair use to show logos because I was referencing Airbnb, but apparently it's really not a good idea because the idea of fair use is very vague. So then what do I do? Demonstrate the software, and just this whole thing is you can see I show how you can download it. So again, this was meant to accomplish two things: to see if one, I could get any subscription sales for this product, if you call it that. Didn't work, no one bought. And two, to also attract any potential clients. Didn't work, no one wanted to hire this guy apparently. So this was my early YouTube days back in January. Surprisingly though, they started getting a lot of views. My Instagram one got 14,000 views, and 140 people decided to subscribe to me on YouTube. So I realized that even though those videos were horrible and didn't bring me any business results, people seemed to enjoy them. So then comes February. Still not making any money, and then I get an email. One of the leads I was talking to from January followed up with me and says, hey, sorry for not getting back to you. Are you still available? We'd like to work with you. And I said, oh, really? Yes, I'm available. So it was a fixed project, only 30 hours. And I said to myself, if I can prove that I can work really well on this one small project, it'll lead to more work, hopefully. And thankfully it did. And the other reason that it led to more work, and I think they picked me in the first place, was based on my full-time work experience, like I mentioned before. They saw my 8 years of work history, where I worked, what I did. They knew I had a reputation for my full-time job. So that enabled me to make that transition from full-time to consultant. So then by March, I started working for these guys, maybe let's say 4 to 5 hours a day. And then I started finding more clients. They just started coming to me, and I kept accepting a few more projects, a couple months here, a couple months there. So I was actually making more money than I would have if I stayed at my full-time job. Ended up finishing the year earning significantly more than what I did at my full-time. Now this was great. I enjoyed my consulting work more than my full-time work because you can set your own hours, you don't have to go to an office, you really don't have any bosses, but there's some issues. It's volatile, your clients can drop you at any time. And two, you're still trading your time for money. It's not that much better than working a full-time job, in my opinion. So, the clients were great, the money was solved, but I wanted to get to my deeper issue, my dream. My dream was to build a personal data assistant. And to do that, we need to collect data from different sources, and I realized that there are people willing to pay money for this. And the way I was getting by was by sitting down and writing software, trading hours for dollars, and giving my clients software. But when I kept doing this over and over for so many different clients and projects and APIs, I started finding patterns. And I said to myself, well, what if instead of writing all these different programs, if I could just write one masterpiece of a program that could handle, let's say, 90% of the use cases that people were asking me to do work on, I could then go back to my original idea of selling a subscription service to these people to get them what they want. Now that I started seeing what people really wanted, they wanted to collect data for a number of APIs, and they didn't want to have to write software or worry about software or do it. They just wanted to provide the inputs. Here are the products I want, here are the social media hashtags or accounts I want, and here's what I want as the output. You do all the work, I don't care how it gets done. So now May rolls along, and I want to begin shifting my revenue from trading hours for dollars to selling a subscription to my software as a service product. So this is the old product that I tried selling in January and failed miserably. Mostly because I had a bunch of features that I built for myself, but no one really wanted. But as I was doing my consulting work and talked to more people and listened to what they really wanted and did live chat with more customers, I realized that I had plenty of features no one wanted, but none of the features people did want. Like, this used to index data on an Elasticsearch cluster for no reason because I wanted to collect all of my own personal data and be able to search through it on Elasticsearch, but no one wanted that. They wanted the data directly. They just wanted me to go and get them the data and then give it to them so they could have it forever. There's no need for me to store it. So I thought about modifying this. This was written in Scala and TypeScript, two technologies I knew very little about. I just was kind of mucking around with them because I thought they were fast and cool. So I realized I would have to rewrite this. And what I did is I decided to rewrite them in the tool that I was an expert in because of my full-time job. My full-time job made me an expert in Python. That's what I used for the prior 4 years to doing this. I became an expert in data engineering in Python. So why am I building this flagship product in Scala and TypeScript, which I know nothing about? So from May to September, those months, while I was doing client work, I basically spent an additional 4 to 5 hours every day rewriting this, taking out all the features no one wanted, and only focusing on really two main features that people wanted. And I ended up building this. This is the 2.0 version of Steve C Data that I built and is now selling very well. It's on track to basically get me to where I am in client revenue by the end of this current year. So you can see that I focus on what people really wanted was, you give me the inputs, my software goes and combines them. Maybe you want to do different cross products of like stores and products and get the quantity at each store or whatever, and then it goes and filters everything, and it's generic enough to work with any API or app. So one piece of software can work with all these different APIs, and it can automatically infer from all these messy JSON structures that all these apps provide. It can infer and flatten them out into a common structure that works with a collections framework. Believe me, this was not easy to write. This was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever made. And it's selling. It's selling because no one in the history of the world has done this before. And that's what the free market tells you. That's why it's so hard to get sales at first. Because for you to get one sale means that one other human being with 30, 40 years, however old they are, they've taken all their prior knowledge in their entire life, all their judgment, all their peer network's knowledge, and they've determined that your tool is the best thing that can solve their needs. That's not easy to do. So I started selling this on October 1st. I went back to YouTube and I redid all of my old videos. So I take down all my old videos. They were horrible, they were too sales pitchy, and they were talking about an outdated product. So it was really difficult rebuilding my YouTube channel from scratch. I dropped from getting maybe 300 views a day to 0 views a day real fast. So I published my first video on October 1st just to kind of do a warm-up. I did a little recap of what it's like getting your first 100 YouTube subscribers. So like I said, even though the videos were bad, the content though was still valuable to some people that they subscribed to my channel, 140 of them. So I talked about that, and then I started rethinking these videos. You can see the thumbnails in the new videos, they just scream value. I show visualizations, I don't show my face anymore. I show what the viewer can expect to receive. I show them the data, the visualization. Inside the video, I turn around and I focus on the viewer. I focus on the value I deliver. I show them in Chrome Debugger Tools how they can get this data. I show them the details. I don't show them the platform. I focus on the problem at hand, not the solution, because people look at your videos because they're trying to solve a problem. Until they understand the problem, they're not even thinking about solutions yet. So these videos mostly focus on the problems, they build trust with my audience, and I've been getting a lot more subscribers, a lot more watch time, views, everything's through the roof. And also, sales are picking up. I started making sales of a data platform because people would see the video, they would land on my new website, they would see all of the resources I now have on the website. They would see, for example, I have these videos embedded inside the website. So paid traffic, I still use Google Ads, comes and sees these videos. I've redone these pages to deliver a lot more value by the use of videos. And also here, these pages now, they give you URL details, they give you a lot more information than the old tool used to offer. And also the website's a lot faster and it just works because it's not written in Scala. Here are my web analytics on October 1st. 102 users came to the site, and I just kept making more videos every day. I ran some Google Ads, and you can see yesterday I had 300 users. I tripled my traffic by offering a good product after learning what people wanted, by making videos that delivered value to people, and by building trust with my audience by putting those videos on my pages and just thinking of how to advertise the right way in Google Ads. I spent a lot of time refocusing my ads, removing keywords that weren't working, redoing ad copy, a lot of experimentation, and it's finally starting to pay off 1 year later. So looking back 1 year, am I glad I quit? Definitely. More money, and more importantly, is I can now work on my dream, on building a software platform to aggregate the world's data. Right now I'm helping different people collect the data that they need, but I have much larger plans for this, and I can't wait to keep working on them. Quitting my job, having faith in my own skills, and finding clients and talking and listening to all these people is what enabled me to get here. You can do it too, but my only warning is to be damn good at your current full-time job. Because if it wasn't for that, I would have to quit doing this and go back to a full-time job, because I would never have found those clients in the first place. I wouldn't be able to have the conversations that I've had with all the people I've talked to this past year that enabled me to build this amazing platform. Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. I realize that everyone's situation is unique. Selling a software product is probably not for everyone, but the theme here is the same. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to not learn from your failures and pick yourself back up. Because if it weren't for that, I would have gone nowhere. I would have given up in January, February, and went back to getting a job somewhere else. But I persisted through it against all odds, sucked up my pride, and redid everything that I started doing. And I'm going to continue doing that until I get to where I want to be. That's it. Thank you for watching, and best of luck on your entrepreneurial dreams. Stay data-driven.